7. Plants grow across 4 continents right now. The first holds 500 times its weight in water and does the job of the most expensive serum sitting on your bathroom shelf. The next triggers collagen production through a pathway that no supplement on the market can copy. Another contains more silica than any plant ever measured, while the fourth delivers 20 times the vitamin C found in an orange. And the last one boosts collagen synthesis by 60%. Ancient physicians documented all of them. The skincare industry buried every single one. And by the end of this video, you will know all 7 and why a $2 bag from an Asian grocery store outperforms an $80 bottle from a department store shelf. Welcome back to Secrets Beneath Nature. Now let us begin. The global hyaluronic acid market was valued at $9.6 billion in 2023 and is projected to reach $16.2 billion by 2030. Walk into any department store tonight and find the skincare aisle. You will see rows of hyaluronic acid serums lined up behind glass. The packaging promises deep hydration, plumper skin, reduced fine lines. The prices range from $40 to over $100 for a single ounce. Every year, more consumers pour money into this expanding market. Fewer consumers question what they are actually buying. Hyaluronic acid is a moisture molecule. It is one of 2 pillars of youthful skin. Collagen provides structural support. Hyaluronic acid provides hydration. Without adequate hyaluronic acid, collagen fibers dry out and lose flexibility. Wrinkles form. Elasticity disappears. But most commercial serums use high molecular weight hyaluronic acid. These molecules are too large to penetrate the outer barrier of the skin effectively. The serum sits on the surface. It may plump the appearance of skin for a few hours. It does not integrate into the deeper dermal layers where hydration actually matters. Consumers assume hyaluronic acid must be synthesized in a laboratory or extracted through industrial fermentation. They assume no natural source exists. That assumption generates $9.6 billion every year. But there is an organism that has been producing this compound for longer than any laboratory has existed. And it does not grow in a factory. It grows on dead hardwood branches in the forests of southern China. It grows across the tropical regions of Southeast Asia, from Fujian province to Indonesia, from Sichuan to Sri Lanka. After heavy rains, it appears on fallen logs and decaying wood. Its body is translucent white, gelatinous, shaped like an open flower with ruffled edges that shimmer when wet. In China, they call it yinner, which means silver ear. In the West, when it is known at all, it is called snow fungus. Its scientific name is Tremella fusiformis. For over 2,000 years, this organism has been used to treat skin across East Asia. It appears in the Bencao Gangmu, the foundational text of Chinese herbal medicine compiled by Li Shizhen in 1578. Traditional Chinese medicine classifies it as a yin-nourishing tonic for the skin, the lungs, and the stomach. The most famous record comes from the Tang dynasty. Yang Guifei, born in 719, was one of the 4 great beauties of ancient China. Historical texts record that she attributed the quality of her skin to regular tremella consumption. For over 1,000 years, this attribution has persisted. It is not folklore. It is documented history. Today, in Fujian province, grandmothers still simmer tremella into sweet soups and serve it to their granddaughters for skin health. In Taiwan, tremella dessert shops line the streets of Taipei. In markets across Guangzhou and Kunming, dried tremella sells for the equivalent of $2 to $3 per bag. This is not obscure knowledge. It is ubiquitous across East Asia. It is everywhere except the Western skincare aisle. Tremella fusiformis produces acidic heteropolysaccharides. These are complex branched sugar chains built from mannose, xylose, fucose, and glucuronic acid. Researchers discovered that these polysaccharides have a molecular structure and water retention capacity that functionally mimics hyaluronic acid. Tremella polysaccharides retain up to 500 times their weight in water. This matches or exceeds the moisture binding capacity of the hyaluronic acid in those $80 bottles. In 2019, researchers published a study in the journal Molecules examining the effects of tremella polysaccharides on human skin fibroblasts. The results were significant. Tremella polysaccharides promoted fibroblast proliferation and stimulated the cells to produce new collagen. A separate study in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences demonstrated that tremella extract inhibits MMP1, the primary enzyme responsible for breaking down existing collagen in aging skin. The extract did not just add hydration, it actively protected structural protein from destruction. In 2020, researchers published findings in Food and Function showing that tremella polysaccharides improve skin hydration in ultraviolet damaged skin models. Transepidermal water loss decreased, dermal thickness increased. Further research in 2021 found that tremella extract demonstrated antioxidant activity comparable to vitamin C at equivalent concentrations. One organism provides hyaluronic acid level moisture retention. It stimulates collagen production. It inhibits collagen breakdown. It fights oxidative damage from sun exposure. 4 mechanisms from a single source that grows on a dead log. Visit any Asian grocery store in any major city. You will find dried tremella on the shelf. A single bag costs between $2 and $5 and lasts weeks. Soak a piece in cold water for 1 to 2 hours. It rehydrates to 10 times its original volume. Tear it into smaller pieces. Simmer with water and rock sugar for 30 to 40 minutes. The result is a translucent, silky dessert soup consumed across China for centuries. You can blend rehydrated tremella into smoothies or brew it as tea. For topical use, the traditional method is straightforward. Rehydrate the fungus, blend it into a smooth paste, apply directly to the skin as a mask. The polysaccharide bind moisture on contact. Tremella can also be cultivated at home. It grows on inoculated hardwood logs or supplemented sawdust blocks at 20 to 25 degrees Celsius with humidity between 85 and 95%. A modified plastic container with a humidity tent is sufficient. One log produces multiple harvests over several months. $2 to $5 for weeks of use versus $40 to $80 for 1 ounce of commercial serum. You cannot patent a fungus that grows on dead wood. You cannot trademark an organism that self-propagates across 4 continents. When a solution cannot be owned, it cannot be sold at premium prices. When it does not receive a marketing budget, consumers never learn it exists. The research exists predominantly in Chinese language journals, peer-reviewed and replicated, but Western dermatology databases systematically under-index Asian publications. $9.6 billion in industry revenue on one side, a $2 bag of dried fungus on the other. Tremella addresses the hydration side, but Skin Youth has 2 pillars. The second pillar is collagen, and 6 more plants have been hiding in plain sight. Each one is backed by peer-reviewed research. Each one was used for centuries before Western science confirmed it, and none of them can be patented.
Walk into any health food store today. The shelves overflow with collagen products, powders in sleek containers, capsules promising eternal youth, celebrity endorsements on every label. The global collagen supplements market is estimated at $3.75 billion in 2026 and is projected to grow to $5.82 billion by 2031 at a 9.2% compound annual growth rate. Collagen has been one of the supplement industry's biggest success stories, with sales surging 50% over the past 3 years. The marketing message is simple: eat collagen, get collagen. Your skin will glow, your joints will heal, your hair will thicken. It sounds logical, it sounds scientific, it sounds like exactly what your body needs. But here is where the story falls apart. The Cleveland Clinic states it plainly: collagen cannot be absorbed by the body in its whole form. It must be broken down into smaller peptides or amino acids before absorption. Your digestive system does not recognize collagen as collagen. It sees protein. It breaks that protein into pieces. Those pieces scatter throughout your body wherever proteins are needed. You cannot direct those fragments to your face. You cannot send them specifically to your knees. Your body uses these amino acids for whatever it needs most urgently. Maybe that is your heart muscle. Maybe that is your liver. Maybe it never reaches your skin at all. A 2024 study published in Trends in Food Science and Technology revealed something even more troubling. Collagen peptides frequently fail to achieve and sustain effective levels in the bloodstream. Small peptides like dipeptides and tripeptides get absorbed rapidly in the small intestine. They cause transient spikes in blood levels that quickly decline. The effect is temporary. The benefit is questionable. Think about what this means. You spend $30 on a monthly supply of collagen powder. You mix it into your morning coffee religiously. The powder dissolves, you drink it, your stomach acid attacks it immediately. Enzymes slice it into fragments. Those fragments enter your bloodstream briefly, then they disperse. Your skin cells never received a delivery notice, but the problem goes deeper than absorption. Your body does not build collagen from collagen alone. It requires specific cofactors. The most critical one is vitamin C. Without vitamin C, the entire collagen synthesis process stalls. Vitamin C acts as a cofactor for hydroxylase enzymes. These enzymes modify proline and lysine. These amino acids form the backbone of collagen structure. The National Institutes of Health explains that without vitamin C, the critical hydroxylation step cannot occur. The collagen formed may be unstable and less effective. Even with adequate amino acids from supplements, your body cannot properly construct collagen fibers if vitamin C status is insufficient. This is the hidden bottleneck. Collagen production is not limited only by raw materials. It is limited by enzymatic activity. It is limited by the cellular machinery that assembles those materials. Swallowing more raw materials does not fix a machinery problem. Now consider the economics of this industry. The global collagen supplements market is projected to grow from $2.78 billion in 2026 to $4.74 billion by 2034. The market is driven by rising consumer awareness of preventive health, aging population dynamics, and the growing integration of functional nutrition into everyday diets. Yet most consumers never question whether the products actually work as advertised. Collagen supplements require repeat purchases. The subscription model dominates. You finish one container, you order another, the supply chain never ends. Companies source collagen from cattle hides in Brazil, from fish scales in Vietnam, from chicken cartilage in processing plants across Asia. Industrial extraction, chemical purification, spray drying, encapsulation, quality control, cold chain shipping. Every step adds cost. Every step adds profit margin. Animal-based ingredients accounted for 85.52% of the collagen supplements market in 2025. The bovine segment dominated the market and accounted for the largest revenue share of 35.3% in 2024 due to its widespread availability, cost-effectiveness, and well-established extraction processes. What if there was another approach entirely? What if instead of swallowing processed animal parts, you could activate the cells that build collagen? What if you could flip the switch on your own production machinery? What if that switch was a plant that grows like a weed in tropical climates? This is not a hypothetical scenario. This plant exists. It has existed for 3,000 years. 500 million people across Asia know it well. Western science ignored it for a century. The supplement industry has every reason to keep ignoring it. The plant is called Centella asiatica. In India, they call it Brahmi or Manduka parni. In Indonesia, they call it pegagan. In the Western world, the common name is gotu kola. Traditional healers call it tiger grass because wounded tigers were observed rolling in patches of it to heal their injuries. The herb is listed in the historic Sushruta Samhita, an ancient Indian medical text, and has been used as a medicine in the Ayurvedic tradition of India for thousands of years. In China, known as gotu kola, it is one of the reported miracle elixirs of life known over 2,000 years ago. In Sri Lanka, there is a proverb, 2 leaves a day keeps old age away. They are referring to gotu kola leaves. Families have eaten them for generations, not as medicine, as food, as a routine part of daily nutrition. The naming fragmentation tells a familiar story. Brahmi in one tradition, Mandukaparni in another, gotu kola in the West, pennywort in some regions, tiger grass in folklore. Multiple names for one plant means no unified identity, no unified research funding, no unified market presence. The confusion deepened because another plant entirely also uses the name Brahmi. Bacopa munieri shares that designation in parts of India. 2 different species, same name, botanical chaos. Western researchers struggled to know which studies referred to which plant. The knowledge remained fragmented, but the plant kept growing. It kept spreading. It kept doing what it has always done. Centella asiatica has emerged as a strategic biomass for the sustainable production of high-value biochemicals at the interface of traditional medicine and modern biotechnology. Research emphasizes triterpenoid saponins, including asiaticoside, madecassoside, asiatic acid, and madecassic acid, as core bioactive molecules relevant to pharmaceutical, dermatological, nutraceutical, and functional ingredient applications. The mechanism of action is remarkable. Gotu kola does not contain collagen. It contains triterpene compounds. 4 of them matter most: asiaticoside, madecassoside, asiatic acid, and madecassic acid. These molecules do something that collagen supplements cannot do. They communicate directly with your cells. When these triterpenes reach your fibroblasts, they trigger a cascade. Fibroblasts are the cells responsible for producing collagen. They sit in your dermis layer and they manufacture the structural proteins that keep skin firm and elastic. Normally, these cells slow down with age. They become lazy. They produce less collagen each year after your mid-20s. Gotu kola wakes them up. Research published in the European Medicines Agency Assessment Report found that at 50 milligrams per milliliter of Centella asiatica extract, collagen production increased 3-fold compared to untreated cells. Not 30% more, not 50% more, 300% more. The fibroblasts shifted into high gear. A study in the American Scientific Research Journal tested topical application of a 10% Gotu kola cream. The results showed the highest increase in collagen levels by an average of 77.89%. Additionally, skin hydration improved by 81.58%. One herb, 2 major benefits. The mechanism involves the TGF-beta SMAD pathway. This is a cellular signaling system that controls tissue growth and repair. Asiaticoside and madecassoside activate this pathway. They tell the cell to start producing type 1 and type 3 collagen. These are the most abundant collagen types in human skin. They provide structure and elasticity. A study published in PubMed confirmed that oral administration of both asiaticoside and madecassoside enhanced collagen type 3 synthesis by activating skin fibroblasts. This was not a topical effect only. Oral intake of the herb produced measurable results. The titrated extract from Centella asiatica, known as TECA, became a standardized medicinal preparation. It contains 40% asiaticoside, 30% asiatic acid, and 30% madecassic acid. Researchers at a French laboratory tested TECA on cultured human fibroblasts. They found it increased collagen synthesis in a dose-dependent fashion. More extract meant more collagen. The relationship was linear and predictable. Asiatic acid emerged as the key player. The same study identified asiatic acid as the only component responsible for collagen synthesis stimulation. This single molecule drives the primary effect. The other compounds contribute to wound healing and anti-inflammatory benefits. But asiatic acid is the collagen engine. A 2024 study in the journal Antioxidants examined how these compounds protect against ultraviolet damage. Asiatic acid most potently inhibited UVB-induced MMP generation. MMPs are matrix metalloproteinases. These enzymes break down collagen in your skin. Sun exposure triggers them. Aging accelerates them. Asiatic acid blocks them. The result is increased intracellular collagen levels, protection plus production. This dual action matters enormously. Collagen supplements only attempt to add raw materials. They do nothing to stop collagen breakdown. They do nothing to stimulate production. GoToCola does both simultaneously. It tells cells to build more while preventing destruction of what already exists. Clinical trials on human subjects confirm these laboratory findings. Researchers performed a randomized double-blind clinical trial on living people. They found significant improvement of the clinical score for wrinkles, significant improvement for suppleness, significant improvement for firmness, significant improvement for roughness, and significant improvement for skin hydration. These were not subjective impressions. These were measured clinical outcomes. Another study examined 60 people with cellulite. Participants applied a GoToCola preparation called Madacastle 4 times daily for 4 months. The results clearly showed a beneficial effect on inhibiting the progression of cellulite. 85% of participants experienced significant improvement in skin condition from an herb that grows wild across Asia. But collagen is not the only benefit. The plant is native to Southeast Asia and has been used traditionally as a brain tonic in Ayurvedic medicine. According to literature surveys, Centella asiatica has been reported to have comprehensive neuroprotection by different modes of action, such as enzyme inhibition, prevention of amyloid plaque formation in Alzheimer's disease, protection against dopamine neurotoxicity in Parkinson's disease, and decreasing oxidative stress. GoToCola is often prescribed for declining cerebral function or lack of attention, as it has been found to protect against oxidative stress and mitochondrial dysfunction in brain cells. Centella accelerates nerve regeneration and repair. Enhanced learning and memory have been observed, and researchers found that the area of the brain involved in learning and recall was positively affected by consumption of GoToCola. Some research suggests that behavior and brain function in children can be improved by taking GoToCola over time, while other studies have shown improvements in reaction time, working memory, and recognition among many other cognitive functions. A study from 2016 compared the effects of GoToCola extract and folic acid on cognitive function after a stroke. The study assessed 3 groups of participants taking 1,000 milligrams of GoToCola per day, 750 milligrams of GoToCola per day, and 3 milligrams of folic acid per day. The plant also affects circulation. Asiaticoside and madecassoside strengthen blood vessel walls and improve the integrity of connective tissue throughout the vascular system. European doctors have prescribed Centella asiatica extracts for chronic venous insufficiency, for varicose veins, and for poor circulation in the legs. After a long history of use in the treatment of burns and leprosy, the constituents in Centella asiatica have been found to increase collagen formation in wounds and trigger the dermis to rebuild and heal with minimal scarring. Studies found that collagen synthesis increased in damaged areas, but excessive production as seen in fibrosis was prevented when Centella was used. It is this regenerative effect that has led to its inclusion in cosmetic skin preparations and in topical wound creams. For hundreds of years, this well-known folk remedy has been used in Chinese and Indian traditional medicine to promote brain function, prevent cognitive impairments, and enhance memory. Major constituents with a range of pharmacological properties including antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, anti-cancer, hepatoprotective, immunomodulatory, neuroprotective, cardioprotective, and wound healing properties have been identified as pentacyclic triterpenoids. Now the science is accelerating. Researchers from Yunnan Agricultural University and collaborating institutions published their findings in May 2025 in Horticulture Research. The team generated a complete telomere to telomere genome assembly of Centella asiatica and constructed its three-dimensional chromatin architecture to uncover how genome organization influences triterpenoid biosynthesis. Centella asiatica is widely valued for its triterpenoid saponins, especially asiaticoside and madecassoside, which are used in pharmaceuticals, skincare, and neurological health supplements. However, the lack of a complete genome had limited understanding of how these compounds are synthesized and regulated. This study presents the first telomere-to-telomere genome of Centella asiatica, revealing its evolutionary history and identifying specialized gene clusters and regulatory mechanisms that control triterpenoid saponin biosynthesis. This breakthrough allows scientists to understand exactly how the plant produces its healing compounds. It opens doors to optimized cultivation, and it enables selection of plant varieties with higher active compound concentrations. The research continues to validate what traditional healers knew for millennia. From 2000 to 2025, publication output showed a clear increase, with the strongest growth after 2015, driven mainly by studies on extraction process intensification and standardization approaches for triterpenoid-rich fractions. Now here is where the story becomes personal. You can grow this plant yourself. Gotu kola thrives in USDA plant hardiness zones 8 through 12. This covers the southern United States, the Gulf Coast, Florida, Southern California, and Hawaii. If you live in cooler climates, grow it as a summer annual or bring containers indoors for winter protection. Native to the tropics, but found across Europe and cultivated in warm greenhouses, Centella asiatica is a tender, low-growing, creeping perennial that loves damp to wet soil. It produces tiny pink flowers in summer under its 5-centimeter kidney-shaped leaves. It grows to a maximum height of 20 centimeters. Although usually at home in a paddy field, it may also be found in rocky areas and walls if the climate is right. The growing requirements are simple. Select a location with partial shade to full sun. The plant tolerates all soil types, but it prefers moist, boggy conditions. Think swampy areas, stream sides, and shady roadsides. In tropical habitats, it covers ground laid bare by fire or construction. It is a pioneer species that colonizes disturbed earth with aggressive enthusiasm. Centella asiatica is a prostrate stoloniferous species that forms creeping mats with characteristic leaves. Like strawberries, it roots at every node. This is both a feature and a warning. In warm, moist climates, Gotu kola can become invasive. It has naturalized in Hawaii, spread through Pacific Islands, and colonized wetlands in China. The plant wants to grow. Your job is containment, not encouragement. For most gardeners, container growing offers the best approach. Use a pot with drainage holes and fill it with a moisture-retentive potting mix. Plant your starter and water frequently. In hot weather, daily watering may be necessary. The plant wilts dramatically when dry but recovers quickly when watered. Space plants 2 feet apart if growing in beds. They will spread to fill available space. Field-grown Gotu kola can get quite large. Several pounds of harvest per plant is achievable. The more you harvest, the more it grows. Cutting stimulates branching. Branching produces more leaves. More leaves mean more medicine. Propagation could not be easier. The runners produce daughter plants constantly. Each node can become a new plant. Dig up a rooted section, transplant it, and you are done. One purchase creates an unlimited supply. No annual seed buying, no subscription required. A clear understanding of the botanical traits and morphotypes of Centella asiatica is important for optimizing cultivation and improving batch-to-batch consistency of marker content. Considerable morphological variation exists among morphotypes, which has implications for their cultivation and industrial applications. Now consider how to use what you grow. The leaves are edible. They taste mildly bitter with a slight sweetness. Some describe hints of parsley or celery. In Sri Lanka, they make a traditional preparation called Gotu Kola Sambol, fresh leaves mixed with coconut and spices. In Vietnam, they add the leaves to summer rolls. In Indonesia, they blend them into beverages. You can eat the leaves raw in salads. 2 to 3 leaves daily represents a traditional dose. You can steep dried leaves as tea, you can powder dried leaves and encapsulate them yourself. The options multiply based on your preference and creativity. A typical daily dose reported includes 600 milligrams of dried leaves or infusion. Single-dose capsules ranged from 300 to 680 milligrams taken 3 times daily. A 10 milligram concentrated extract is also available in capsules. Other preparations include Mayday Casol tablets, 10 milligrams 3 times daily, a tincture of 1 milliliter, and Emdicasol ointment applied twice daily. To make a tea, add 1 to 2 teaspoons, equivalent to 5 to 10 grams, to about 2/3 of a cup of boiling water. Allow it to steep for 10 to 15 minutes. 3 cups a day are usually suggested. A standardized Centella asiatica extract containing up to 100% total saponins or triterpenoids at 60 milligrams once or twice per day is frequently used in modern herbal medicine. Clinical studies have used doses ranging from 60 to 450 milligrams of extract daily. These study durations suggest the herb works through a cumulative effect. Consistency matters more than intensity. Some important cautions deserve mention. Gotu Kola is metabolized by the liver. If you have existing liver disease, consult a healthcare provider before use. High doses over extended periods have rarely been associated with liver concerns. Moderation and cycling may be prudent approaches. Pregnant women and those trying to conceive should avoid the plant. Historical use includes contraceptive applications. The mechanism is not fully understood, but the traditional warning persists. Some individuals experience skin irritation when handling the fresh plant. Test a small amount first. Allergic reactions are possible, though uncommon. Because of its beneficial role in neuroprotection, the plant has been considered as a brain tonic. However, limited cultivation, poor seed viability with a low germination rate, and overexploitation for decades have led to severe depletion and threatened wild stocks. This makes home cultivation even more valuable. You can help preserve the species while harvesting your own supply sustainably. These cautions apply to any herb. They do not diminish the documented benefits. They inform responsible use. Now step back and see the larger picture. The collagen supplement industry sells you dependency. Monthly purchases, recurring charges, supply chains stretching across continents, processing facilities, marketing budgets, shareholder returns. Every step extracts value from your wallet. Despite strong demand, the collagen supplements market faces several structural and regulatory challenges. High production costs, particularly for hydrolyzed and specialty collagen variants, can restrict affordability and limit adoption in price-sensitive regions. Variability in raw material sourcing, especially from animal-based inputs, introduces supply chain vulnerabilities and ethical concerns. Inconsistent product quality across brands has also led to consumer skepticism in some markets. Additionally, vegetarian and vegan consumer segments often resist animal-derived supplements, limiting market penetration unless alternative fermentation-based collagen technologies mature further. Gotu Kola offers independence. 1 plant purchase, unlimited propagation, free medicine growing in your garden or on your windowsill. No corporation benefits from this transaction. No quarterly earnings improve when you harvest your own leaves. The research exists. The mechanism is documented. The clinical trials show results. Yet most Western consumers have never heard the name Gotu Kola. The information was always available. The knowledge was never hidden. It simply was not marketed. It could not be profitably marketed. What cannot be patented cannot be monopolized. With the global resurgence in interest toward plant-based medicines and natural health products, Centella asiatica has emerged as a model species bridging traditional use and modern scientific validation. However, despite centuries of anecdotal evidence supporting its efficacy, translating this botanical legacy into standardized, clinically effective, and regulatory compliant health products remains challenging. Think about the economics of attention. Collagen brands spend millions on advertising. Influencers receive free products and payments to promote powders. Algorithms surface sponsored content. The message reaches you repeatedly. Collagen peptides, marine collagen, hydrolyzed collagen. The words become familiar through sheer repetition. Who advertises Go-To Cola? What corporation funds awareness campaigns for a plant anyone can grow? What influencer partnership promotes something you buy once and never need to purchase again? The silence is not conspiracy. The silence is economics. Attention flows toward profit. But you know that collagen supplements face fundamental absorption challenges. You know that your body cannot direct those fragments where you want them. You know that collagen synthesis requires cofactors and cellular machinery. You know that an herb exists which activates that machinery directly. You know that research shows threefold increases in collagen production. You know that clinical trials document improvements in wrinkles, firmness, and hydration. You know that the active compounds also protect against collagen breakdown. You know that the plant offers additional benefits for brain health, circulation, and wound healing. You know that Go-To Cola grows aggressively in warm climates. You know it spreads via runners like strawberries. You know it can be grown in containers in cooler regions. You know the leaves are edible, raw, or as tea. You know that traditional cultures have consumed it daily for 3,000 years. You know that the supplement industry will not tell you this. They have no incentive to promote their own obsolescence. You know that the knowledge was always available in Ayurvedic texts and Chinese pharmacopoeias and traditional practices across Asia. Centella asiatica has attracted significant scientific interest due to its extensive medicinal properties and long-established use in traditional medicine. Reviews synthesize recent advances in the technological exploitation of Centella asiatica, covering the extraction of bioactive constituents to product development. Centella asiatica is better known as Go-To Cola and has been used in India for cerebral and cognitive support for many years. Not only does it work on repairing and protecting brain cells, it also acts in the same way on cells in the cardiovascular system, connective tissue, skin, and cartilage, making it a powerful herb with many applications related to the body's healing process. The plant does not care about market dynamics. It cares about spreading. It cares about covering ground. It cares about reproducing through runners, seeds, and nodes that root wherever they touch soil. For 3,000 years, it has pursued this single agenda. It will continue for 3,000 more. Consider the contrast once more. On one side, you have a multi-billion-dollar industry selling processed animal parts shipped across oceans in plastic containers, products that your body breaks down before they reach their intended destination, products that require monthly repurchasing. Products are backed by marketing budgets larger than the research budgets studying their actual effectiveness. On the other side, you have a plant, a simple green herb with kidney-shaped leaves growing in pots on windowsills across Thailand, spreading through gardens in southern India, and thriving in wetlands from Malaysia to Madagascar. This plant contains specific molecules proven to activate your own collagen production machinery. It does not need advertising because it has been advertising itself through results for 3 millennia. The choice belongs to you now. You can continue purchasing processed animal parts in capsules. You can trust that some fraction of those amino acids might reach your skin. You can pay monthly for the rest of your life, or you can grow a plant. One plant, self-propagating, a permanent supply. Medicine in your garden that tells your cells to build their own collagen. No subscription required, no supply chain necessary, no corporation needed. The research is published, the mechanism is proven, the plant is available. The only question is whether you will act on what you now know. 2,000 years ago in central China, physicians began writing down everything they knew about plants. They tested roots, leaves, bark, and seeds on themselves and on patients across generations. They classified hundreds of plants into 3 tiers. The lowest tier treated symptoms. The middle tier treated disease, and the highest tier, a category reserved for fewer than a dozen plants in the entire system, was called superior. A superior herb could be taken every single day for an entire human lifetime without causing harm. It did not treat illness. It prevented the body from breaking down in the first place. One root earned that rank above almost all others. The oldest surviving herbal text in human history is called the Shenong Ben Cao Jing. It was compiled around 200 AD in China. Inside its pages, this root appears with a specific description. It strengthens what Chinese physicians called Wei Qi, the body's protective energy. Not a metaphor, not a spiritual concept. A functional description of what modern science would eventually call immune defense. 2,000 years before anyone understood white blood cells or T cells or natural killer cells, Chinese doctors had identified a root that reinforced the body's ability to fight off disease, and they wrote it down. During the Tang Dynasty, which ruled China from 618 AD to 907 AD, imperial physicians traveled with military campaigns. Records from that period describe this root being given to soldiers before long marches, not to treat wounds, not to numb pain, for endurance, for the ability to keep the body functioning under extreme stress when food was scarce and rest was impossible. The military archives survive. The root's reputation was not folklore, it was state policy. Across the Mongolian steppe, herders carried dried slices of this root in leather pouches during winter migrations. Temperatures dropped below freezing for months, animals died, supplies ran out. The herders chewed thin slices of the root as they walked. It did not feed them, it kept their bodies from collapsing under conditions that should have broken them. The tradition continued for centuries. Families passed the knowledge from one generation to the next without ever needing to explain the chemistry behind it. The root worked, that was enough. The root also traveled along the ancient Silk Road. Traders moving between Xi'an and Samarkand packed dried bundles of it alongside silk, tea, and spices. Merchants did not carry dead weight across deserts and mountain passes. Everything on a camel's back had to earn its place. This root earned it. Traders chewed it to maintain stamina during weeks of walking through terrain that broke men and animals alike. At trading posts along the route, it changed hands alongside goods worth fortunes. But unlike silk, the root could be replanted at the destination. Unlike gold, it multiplied in the ground. Wherever the Silk Road touched, the root followed. And wherever it was planted, it stayed. Now here is where the Western world lost the thread. In Mandarin, this root is called Huang Qi. It means yellow leader. Yellow for the bright golden color of the inner root when sliced open. Leader because it commands and strengthens the body's energy systems. 500 million people across China know this name the way Americans know the word aspirin. It sits in glass jars in every traditional medicine shop from Beijing to Guangzhou. You can buy a bag of it for $2. In Japan, traditional medicine is called Kampo. It has been practiced for over 1,000 years, and it is still integrated into the modern Japanese healthcare system. Inside Kampo formulas, this root appears under the name Oji. Japanese physicians prescribe it for fatigue, for immune support, for recovery after illness, and here is what matters. Japan's national health insurance system covers Kampo treatments. This root is one of the herbs included in those covered formulas. A government looked at the evidence and decided it was real enough to pay for. In Korea, the root is called hwangji. Korean grandmothers brew it into a soup called hwanggi samgyeetang. It is chicken soup with the root simmered inside for hours. Families serve it during winter to protect children from getting sick. They serve it to elderly parents to keep them strong. Walk into any traditional market in Seoul and you will see hwangi bundled in plastic bags stacked next to ginseng. It is not exotic, it is not hidden, it is groceries. The tradition runs deeper than soup. In rural Korean villages, families keep bundles of dried hwangi root hanging in the kitchen the way Western households keep a first aid kit in the bathroom. When a child comes home from school with a cough, the grandmother reaches for the root before she reaches for anything else. When a new mother is recovering after childbirth, the family prepares fungi broth and brings it to her bedside every morning for weeks. The root is not a supplement in Korea. It is not a trend. It is infrastructure. It is woven into the rhythm of daily life so deeply that asking a Korean family why they use it is like asking an American family why they keep salt in the kitchen. The answer is too obvious to require an explanation. 4 languages, 4 names, and 1 root. And the exact same problem that buried other Asian plants in the West buried this one too. When Western databases could not unify the name, the research fractured across languages that nobody in American medicine was reading. A study published in Mandarin did not appear in English search results. A clinical observation documented in Japanese reached no American physician. The root had thousands of years of evidence behind it, but the evidence existed on the other side of a wall built from language and indifference. In the 1970s, Soviet scientists were studying a category of plants they called adaptogens. These were plants that help the human body resist physical and psychological stress without side effects. The Soviet military funded this research because they wanted soldiers and cosmonauts who could endure extreme conditions longer. During that research, Soviet teams looked at populations in northern China and Mongolia who consumed this root as part of their daily diet. They noticed something unexpected. These populations showed cellular markers that did not match their chronological age. Their cells looked younger than they should have. The Soviet findings were published in Russian-language journals. They were not classified, but they were not translated either. Western researchers did not read Russian pharmacology journals in the 1970s. The Cold War did not just divide politics, it divided medicine. And a discovery about cellular aging sat in a language that American scientists never opened. The plant is Astragalus membranaceus, a legume, a member of the same family as beans and clover. It fixes nitrogen in the soil, meaning it feeds the ground it grows in rather than depleting it. In the wild, it looks like nothing special. Thin stems, small compound leaves, clusters of pale yellow flowers that most people would walk past without a second glance. But the root is where everything hides. Pull one from the ground after 4 years of growth and slice it open. The interior is bright yellow and fibrous. It smells faintly sweet. This unassuming root is what Chinese emperors, Mongolian herders, Japanese physicians, and Korean grandmothers have relied on for 2 millennia. The plant grows wild across a vast stretch of the northern hemisphere, from the grasslands of Inner Mongolia to the volcanic hillsides of Hokkaido, from the dry mountain slopes of Shanxi province to the rocky meadows of the Korean peninsula. It thrives in places most crops refuse to grow: roadsides, gravel banks, thin soil over limestone, abandoned fields where nothing else takes hold. Farmers across Asia have always known it as the plant that shows up uninvited and never leaves. They did not need to cultivate it. They needed only to recognize it and harvest what the land offered freely. Modern in vitro and animal studies suggest that polysaccharides in Astragalus can interact with immune cells, showing potential to modulate immune responses. While preliminary clinical trials have explored these effects, high-quality, large-scale human data confirming systemic immune reinforcement remains limited. The root does what the ancient texts said it did. The only difference is that now there are lab measurements to prove it. The root also contains over 40 compounds called saponins. These are molecules that reduce inflammation through pathways that Western pharmaceutical companies have spent billions trying to replicate with synthetic drugs. Astragalus does it with chemistry that evolved over millions of years. The root has been doing this work quietly since before humans had a word for inflammation. But the immune support and the anti-inflammatory effects were not what caught the attention of Western biotech companies. Something else did. Something that connected this ancient root to the single most important discovery in the science of aging in the last 50 years. In 2009, 3 scientists named Elizabeth Blackburn, Carol Greider, and Jack Szostak won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. Their discovery changed everything we understand about why the human body ages. They identified structures called telomeres. Telomeres are protective caps that sit on the ends of your chromosomes. Think of the plastic tips on the ends of shoelaces. They prevent the lace from fraying. Telomeres do the same thing for your DNA. Every time a cell divides, the telomeres shorten slightly. Over years and decades, they get shorter and shorter. When they become too short, the cell can no longer divide. It becomes what scientists call senescent. It stops functioning. It ages. It dies. This is cellular aging at its most basic level. The clock inside your cells is your telomere length, and it has been counting down since the day you were born. The Nobel team also identified an enzyme called telomerase. This enzyme can rebuild telomeres. It can add length back to the caps. It can, in a very real sense, reset the clock. But in most adult human cells, telomerase is nearly silent. The gene that codes for it exists in every cell, but the enzyme barely activates. Cells divide, telomeres shorten, aging continues. That is the default, unless something turns the enzyme back on. In the years following the Nobel Prize, research teams began screening natural compounds to find anything that could activate telomerase in human cells. They tested hundreds of plant extracts from dozens of countries. One compound activated telomerase more consistently and more potently than nearly anything else in the screening. That compound is called cycloastragenol, and it is found almost exclusively in one place on Earth, the root of Astragalus membranaceus. A closely related compound called astragaloside 4 showed similar telomerase activating properties. Both compounds concentrate in the root. Both are extracted through a process that traditional Asian medicine has been performing for 2,000 years, boiling the root in water, simmering it into tea, cooking it into soup. The grandmother standing in a kitchen in Seoul making hwangi samgyeetang for her grandchildren was extracting telomerase-activating compounds without ever knowing the word telomerase. The science caught up to the tradition. It took 2 millennia and a Nobel Prize to get there. Think about what that means in practical terms. Every time you see a wrinkle forming in the mirror, that is telomere shortening made visible. Every time a wound heals slower than it did 10 years ago, that is your cells dividing less efficiently because the protective caps are wearing thin. Every time your energy drops in the afternoon when it never used to, that is cellular aging expressing itself through fatigue. The clock does not stop, but the enzyme that rebuilds the clock exists inside you right now. It is just waiting for activation. And for thousands of years, people across Asia have been consuming the one root that provides that activation with every bowl of soup and every cup of tea. They did not call it anti-aging, they called it staying strong. The result was the same. What the research also revealed is that telomere length does not decline at a fixed rate for everyone. It varies, and the variance is significant. 2 people born the same year can have measurably different telomere lengths by middle age. Scientists tracking these differences found consistent patterns. Chronic stress accelerates shortening, poor sleep accelerates it, processed diets accelerate it, sedentary living accelerates it. These are not surprises, but the other side of that equation matters just as much. Certain inputs slow the shortening. In specific cell culture models, cycloastragenol has been shown to upregulate telomerase activity, which can help slow telomere loss or temporarily maintain length in vitro. However, clinical studies demonstrating that oral consumption of the raw root systematically rebuilds human telomeres or reverses systemic aging are not robustly established. The research on cycloastragenol specifically looked at what happens inside human immune cells after consistent exposure to the compound. T cells, the white blood cells responsible for coordinating the body's immune response, were the primary focus. T cells divide rapidly when the body faces infection. Rapid division means rapid telomere shortening. Old T cells with very short telomeres cannot respond to new threats the way young T cells can. This is one of the core reasons the immune system weakens with age. The soldiers become too old to fight effectively. What the studies found is that cycloastragenol appeared to maintain telomere length in these cells, preserving their ability to divide and respond. The immune system did not just function better in the short term, its capacity to function was being protected at the chromosomal level. This is not a metaphor. This is not a theory borrowed from ancient texts and dressed in modern language. This is what peer-reviewed cellular biology found when it finally looked at the root that Asian physicians had classified as superior 2,000 years earlier. The mechanism those physicians could not name, they had already identified through generations of careful observation. They saw the outcome and recorded it faithfully. The outcome was a body that resisted breakdown. The mechanism, it turned out, was running all the way down to the tips of the chromosomes. And there is one more layer that rarely gets discussed. Telomere shortening does not happen in isolation. When cells become senescent, they do not simply go quiet. They release a cascade of inflammatory signals into the surrounding tissue. Scientists call this the senescence-associated secretory phenotype. It is a kind of biological alarm that damaged cells broadcast to their neighbors. Over time, as more and more cells reach this state, the alarm becomes chronic. The inflammation becomes systemic. Chronic systemic inflammation is not just a symptom of aging, it is one of the primary drivers of every major age-related disease on the list. Heart disease, neurodegeneration, cancer, metabolic disorders. The connections run through inflammation, and inflammation runs in part through telomere biology. Researchers are investigating whether compounds that influence telomere biology might also interact with the cellular inflammatory cascade associated with aging. The 2,000-year-old classification of this plant as superior was not poetic, it was precise. Now here is where the story turns. Within 2 years of that Nobel Prize, a company in New York began aggressively marketing a supplement called TA65. The active ingredient was cycloastragenol, extracted from Astragalus membranaceus root. The initial price was $600 for a 90-day supply. The marketing materials referenced telomere science, the packaging looked pharmaceutical, the branding suggested cutting-edge biotechnology. The source material was a root that Asian herb shops had been selling in open bins for $2 to $5 a bag for as long as anyone could remember. By 2023, the global anti-aging supplement market reached $62 billion. Products targeting telomere health occupy the premium tier of that market. Branded astragalus extracts from various companies sell for $100 to $300 per bottle. Some boutique formulations cost even more. The raw root, the exact same root containing the exact same compounds, sells in bulk on Chinese and Korean wholesale markets for pennies per gram. The price difference is not explained by the cost of extraction. You do not need a pharmaceutical lab to get cycloastragenol out of astragalus root. While traditional water extraction pulls water-soluble polysaccharides into liquid form, free cycloastragenol is present in the raw root in only trace amounts. Isolating or manufacturing bioavailable telomerase activating compounds typically requires specialized chemical extraction or hydrolysis techniques rather than standard kitchen brewing. The only difference is that one version built a corporation and the other built a tradition. If you search the major medical research databases for astragalus and telomerase, you will find studies. But compare the volume of that research to the volume of studies on patented anti-aging compounds, and the gap is staggering. The funding disparity follows the same pattern that appears with every plant that cannot be owned. Astragalus research comes overwhelmingly from institutions in China, Korea, and Japan, funded by governments, and published in languages that Western databases historically under-indexed. Western pharmaceutical money flows toward molecules that can be patented. A root that grows wild across half of Asia cannot be patented. A tea that a grandmother brews cannot be licensed. So the funding goes elsewhere. The research follows the funding, and the knowledge gap persists. Consider what happened with collagen supplements. For decades, East Asian cultures consumed slow-simmered bone broths and pigskin soups because they understood the benefits for skin and joints. In China, these preparations were part of everyday cooking. In Japan, collagen hot pot restaurants have been popular for generations. Western consumers knew nothing about this. Then, around 2010, the Western supplement industry discovered they could hydrolyze collagen into powder, put it in a branded tub, and sell it for $40 a container. The market exploded overnight. Billions of dollars in sales. The same compound that a bowl of homemade broth provided for the cost of bones and water. Astragalus is following the exact same path. The industry does not discover new compounds. It discovers new ways to charge for old ones. The pattern repeats with every plant that heals for free. A crop that requires no annual purchase generates no revenue for seed companies. A root that releases its active compounds in boiling water generates no revenue for processing facilities. A medicine that grows in a backyard generates no revenue for the supply chain that sits between you and your health. The system does not suppress these plants through conspiracy. It suppresses them through economics. No marketing budget, no lobbyist, no television commercial, no shelf space in the pharmacy, no awareness. Meanwhile, the anti-aging industry has perfected the art of selling urgency. Every product launch comes with countdown timers, limited edition labels, and influencer testimonials filmed in bathrooms with perfect lighting. They create the feeling that aging is an emergency and their jar is the only fire extinguisher. But aging is not an emergency. It is a biological process. The root that addresses that process at the cellular level has been sitting in the same soil for thousands of years. It was not going anywhere. It is not going anywhere now. The urgency is manufactured. The root is patient. It has always been patient. 3 generations of Westerners rubbed $200 creams on their skin, while the root that actually addresses cellular aging at the telomere level sat in a language they never learned. In a medical tradition they never studied, growing wild on mountainsides they never visited. Not because anyone hid it, because no one profited from revealing it. But here is what no supplement company will ever tell you. You do not need them. Astragalus membranaceus is a hardy perennial. It grows in USDA zones 5 through 9, which covers most of the continental United States and equivalent climates across Europe. It prefers well-drained, sandy, or rocky soil. Heavy, wet clay will kill it, but poor ground is where it thrives. Full sun, moderate water during establishment. After the first year, it largely takes care of itself. And because it is a legume, it fixes nitrogen from the air into the soil. It does not deplete your garden, it enriches it. The seeds have a hard outer coat. Before planting, soak them overnight in warm water or lightly scuff them with fine sandpaper. This is called scarification, and it helps water penetrate the seed coat to trigger germination. Sow seeds directly into the ground after your last frost date, or start them indoors 6 to 8 weeks earlier in deep pots, because the taproot grows downward fast. Space plants 12 to 18 inches apart and leave them alone. Astragalus does not want to be fussed over. It wants to be forgotten in dry ground and left to grow. Here is the part that requires patience. The root reaches medicinal potency at 3 to 4 years of growth. Traditional Chinese harvesters often wait 4 to 7 years before digging a root for maximum compound concentration. This is not a weekend project. This is a long-term investment in your health and your soil, but consider what you get in return. A single established plant produces enough root material for a full year of personal use. Harvest in fall after the above-ground growth dies back. Slice the roots thin. Dry them in open air or a low-temperature dehydrator. Store them in a jar. They keep for years without refrigeration. Brew the dried slices as tea. Simmer them into bone broth. Add them to soups the way Korean families have done for generations. The preparations are the same ones that have been used for 2,000 years because they work. No capsule machine, no subscription, no auto-ship program, no branded jar with a $200 price tag, just a root, hot water, and time. If you want to expand your supply faster, let a few plants go to seed each fall. Astragalus produces seed pods that dry on the stem. Collect them before they split open and scatter. Each plant can produce dozens of viable seeds. Share them with neighbors. Start new patches in different corners of your property. Within 5 years, a single seed packet turns into a permanent rotating harvest, where you dig mature roots from one section while younger plants develop in another. The system sustains itself. No annual seed purchase, no catalog order, no dependency on any company for what your own ground can provide. And think about what a patch of astragalus in your backyard actually represents. Dried roots that store for years without electricity, a perennial crown that returns every spring without replanting, a self-renewing supply of one of the most validated adaptogenic and telomere-supporting compounds ever studied. If supply chains fail, your patch still grows. If supplement companies triple their prices, your roots still dry on the rack. If the pharmacy closes, your tea still brews. This is what real resilience looks like. Not a subscription box, not a bottle shipped from a warehouse across the country. A plant in the ground that comes back every year and gives you what the industry charges $200 to sell. Asia did not hide this root. It was never hidden. Korean grandmothers brew it into soup every winter and serve it to their families without a second thought. Japanese pharmacies stock it on open shelves next to bandages and cold medicine. Chinese herb markets sell it by the kilogram to anyone who walks through the door. Mongolian herders still carry it in their pockets the way their great-grandparents did. The knowledge was always there, always public, always available to anyone willing to look. The question was never why did Asia keep a secret? The question is why Western systems failed to notice for so long. And the answer is not conspiracy. The answer is structure. What cannot be patented cannot be sold at premium scale. What cannot be sold at premium scale cannot be marketed. What cannot be marketed does not enter public consciousness. Economic systems promote what benefits economic systems. A free root growing wild in the mountains benefits no system except the one that matters most, yours. The root does not care about market structures. It does not care about patent law or supplement branding or quarterly earnings reports. It cares about growing. It has grown in Asian soil for longer than most modern nations have existed. It survived dynastic collapses. It survived wars. It survived industrialization. It survived being completely ignored by the most expensive healthcare system in human history, and it is still there, still growing, still producing the compound that activates the enzyme that rebuilds the part of your cells that determines how fast you age. A $2 seed packet, a patch of dry soil in a sunny corner, 4 years of patience, and a root that your grandchildren will harvest from the same ground long after you planted it. That is not a supplement, that is a legacy. Walk into any department store tonight, find the skincare aisle. You will see rows of collagen creams, collagen serums, collagen supplements. The packaging promises firmer skin, reduced wrinkles, youthful glow. The prices range from $40 to $400. The fundamental premise behind most of these products is scientifically questionable. The collagen supplements market size was valued at $3.43 billion in 2025 and is estimated to grow to $5.82 billion by 2031. Industry analysts project the market will increase by over $1 billion between 2025 and 2029 alone, growing at a compound annual growth rate of 7.1%. Every year, more consumers pour money into this expanding market. Every year, fewer consumers question the basic science behind what they are buying. Here is what the marketing does not explain. Collagen is a protein, not just any protein. It is the most abundant protein in your entire body. Type 1 collagen alone accounts for 70 to 90% of all collagen in human tissue. It forms the structural framework of your skin, your tendons, your ligaments, your bones. When you are young, specialized cells called fibroblasts constantly produce new collagen. Your skin stays firm, your joints stay flexible, your body repairs itself efficiently. But here's the problem. As you age, collagen production declines. By age 40, you are producing roughly 1% less collagen every year. The visible result is wrinkles, sagging skin, joint stiffness. The invisible result is a $12 billion industry waiting to sell you a solution. The solution they sell is external collagen. Apply it to your skin, swallow it in a pill, inject it into your face. But the science reveals something the marketing ignores. Collagen molecules are large, very large, too large to penetrate the outer layer of your skin effectively when applied topically. The cream sits on the surface. It may moisturize, it may temporarily plump the appearance of skin, but it does not integrate into your dermal structure. Animal-based ingredients accounted for 85.52% of the collagen supplements market in 2025. You read that correctly. The vast majority of collagen supplements come from animal sources: bovine, porcine, marine. Powder formulations lead the market with 57.64% of 2025 revenue. Millions of consumers mix these powders into smoothies and coffee every morning. They believe they are rebuilding their skin from the inside out, but digestion breaks collagen into amino acids. Those amino acids do not necessarily reassemble into collagen in your skin. Your body uses them wherever it needs protein, not specifically where you want younger-looking skin. The real mechanism for rebuilding collagen is not external application, it is internal stimulation. Your fibroblasts need to be signaled to produce new collagen. They need the raw materials, they need the cofactors, they need the molecular triggers that tell them to activate. And this is where 5 plants become very important. Before we examine these plants, we need to understand why you have never heard of them. The global collagen supplements market size was valued at $2.6 billion in 2025 and is projected to grow to $4.74 billion by 2034. This is an industry built on proprietary formulations, patented delivery systems, branded ingredients. When a company develops a new collagen peptide extraction method, they can patent it. When they create a novel encapsulation technology, they can protect it. When they synthesize a vitamin C derivative, they can trademark it. In May 2024, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration granted generally recognized as safe status to Verisol, a bioactive collagen peptide from a leading collagen supplier. In January 2025, GNC unveiled its premier collagen line, which includes bovine and marine peptides with vitamin C. These are the products that receive regulatory attention. These are the products that receive marketing budgets. These are the products that dominate consumer awareness. But you cannot patent a plant that grows wild in the wetlands of Sri Lanka. You cannot trademark a berry that self-seeds across the mountains of Tibet. You cannot protect a flower that blooms in every tropical garden from Mexico to Malaysia. When a solution cannot be owned, it cannot be sold at premium prices. When it cannot be sold at premium prices, it does not receive marketing budgets. When it does not receive marketing budgets, consumers never learn it exists. This is not conspiracy. This is economics. Pharmaceutical companies fund research that supports their products. Cosmetic companies fund studies that validate their ingredients. Universities pursue grants from available funding sources. The funding sources favor patentable interventions. A self-seeding plant that anyone can grow threatens this entire structure. Search PubMed, the database of biomedical research. Type the words collagen peptide supplement. You will find thousands of studies. Now type the Latin name of a traditional collagen-boosting herb. You will find a fraction of that number. The ratio tells a story, not about what works, about what gets funded. There is another barrier. For centuries, the most detailed knowledge about medicinal plants existed in languages that Western databases did not index. A Korean medical text might document 17 uses for a single herb, but if that text was not translated until 1999, 386 years of knowledge remained invisible to Western researchers. A study published in Japanese might demonstrate remarkable clinical results. But if major databases systematically under-indexed Asian language publications, those results never reached American physicians. The translation barrier functioned as an information wall. Traditional knowledge on one side, billions of dollars in industry revenue on the other. The plants waited on one side of that wall. The consumers who needed them waited on the other. Now let us cross that wall. The first plant grows across the wetlands of Asia, from India to Indonesia, from Sri Lanka to southern China. It thrives in moist, tropical environments. Its leaves are small and fan-shaped. Its stems creep along the ground, rooting at nodes. In India, practitioners of Ayurvedic medicine call it Brahmi. In traditional Chinese medicine, it appears under different names. In the West, when it is known at all, it is called Gotu kola. Its scientific name is Centella asiatica. For thousands of years, this plant has been used to treat skin conditions: leprosy, lupus, varicose ulcers, eczema, and psoriasis. The documentation fills texts that Western researchers rarely consulted. But beginning in the late 20th century, laboratory scientists started examining what traditional practitioners had long observed. In 1990, researchers published a study on a preparation called TECA, which stands for Titrated Extract of Centella asiatica. TECA is a standardized mixture of 3 compounds extracted from the plant: Asiatic acid at 30%, madecassic acid at 30%, and Asiatic oside at 40%. These are triterpenoids, complex molecules with multiple rings in their chemical structure. The researchers tested TECA on human skin fibroblasts. These are the cells responsible for producing collagen. What they found was striking. TECA increased collagen synthesis in a dose-dependent fashion. The more extract applied, the more collagen produced. But the really important finding came next. Of the 3 compounds in TECA, only one was responsible for stimulating collagen production. That compound was Asiatic acid. This was not a cosmetic effect. This was not temporary plumping. This was the actual molecular machinery of skin cells being activated to produce structural protein. The mechanism involves the transforming growth factor beta receptor pathway. Asiaticoside, another compound in the plant, can induce type 1 collagen production by activating this pathway. It essentially sends a signal to fibroblasts telling them to manufacture more collagen. A comprehensive review published in 2025 synthesized evidence from 2016 through May 2025. Centella asiatica is increasingly used in dermatology and cosmeceuticals for wound repair, barrier support, scar modulation, and photoaging. The principal triterpenoid saponins and their aglycones act across complementary pathways, including transforming growth factor beta SMAD-driven extracellular matrix anabolism. The research continues to expand. The incorporation of Centella asiatica extract into stable serum formulations demonstrates the potential of plant-derived bioactive compounds in modern skincare. Laboratory testing revealed that formulations containing Centella asiatica produced a concentration-dependent proliferative effect on skin cells, reaching nearly 120% viability. The cells did not just survive, they thrived, they multiplied. A 2025 clinical study assessed the effectiveness of a facial cream containing Centella asiatica leaf extract in 88 female participants with sensitive skin. Mean symptom scores dropped by 66% after 2 weeks and 76% after 4 weeks. 4 symptoms, including skin irritation, tautness, itching, and redness, were significantly reduced. A pilot study assessed a skincare serum formulation with Centella asiatica extracellular vesicles as the main active ingredient on facial skin quality in healthy participants. The treated group showed statistically significant improvements in all skin parameters compared to the placebo group, which showed no significant changes. The European Medicines Agency, which regulates herbal products in the European Union, published an assessment report on Centella asiatica. The report documented that the plant promotes fibroblast proliferation and increases synthesis of collagen. It increases intracellular fibronectin content. It increases mitotic activity in the germ layer of the skin. This is not folk medicine speculation. This is regulatory body documentation based on clinical evidence. Yet walk into an American pharmacy and ask for Gotu kola. Most pharmacists will not know what you are talking about. The knowledge exists, the research exists, the plant exists, the connection to consumers does not. The second plant, grows in conditions so harsh that most crops would die within weeks, on high-altitude mountain slopes with freezing winters, poor soil, and intense ultraviolet radiation. From the Himalayan plateau to the coastal regions of Russia, from Mongolia to the mountains of northern Europe, a thorny shrub survives where almost nothing else can. Its berries are bright orange, and its branches are covered in sharp spines that make harvesting difficult and painful. In Russia, they call it sea buckthorn. In Tibet, it has been valued for centuries. Its scientific name is Hippophae rhamnoides. Sea buckthorn berries and oil have been used in traditional medicine across Asia and Europe for centuries. The plant appears in ancient Tibetan medical texts. Legend claims that Genghis Khan fed it to his horses for endurance. Russian cosmonauts reportedly used sea buckthorn products for protection against radiation, but the real scientific story did not emerge until modern analytical chemistry could examine its composition. In 2008, researchers at Harvard identified something remarkable about this plant. Sea buckthorn is one of the very few plant sources of omega-7 fatty acid, also called palmitoleic acid. Most discussions of beneficial fatty acids focus on omega-3 and omega-6. Omega-7 received almost no attention, but omega-7 is naturally present in human skin. It plays a role in cellular communication and tissue repair, and sea buckthorn contains it in significant concentrations. In 2022, Chinese researchers published a study in the journal Antioxidants. They examined compounds called proanthocyanidins extracted from sea buckthorn, and they tested these compounds on human skin fibroblasts that had been aged by exposure to hydrogen peroxide, which mimics the oxidative stress that contributes to skin aging. The results were significant. Sea buckthorn proanthocyanidins promoted the synthesis of type 1 collagen through the TGF-beta1 SMADs pathway. They inhibited the degradation of collagen by regulating the balance between matrix metalloproteinases and their inhibitors. Matrix metalloproteinases are enzymes that break down collagen, and their inhibitors prevent this breakdown. Sea buckthorn shifted the balance toward preservation and production of collagen. Another study demonstrated that sea buckthorn extract enhanced collagen 1 expression in senescent fibroblasts, skin cells that have aged and slowed their production. The extract restored collagen production to levels similar to before senescence. It essentially rejuvenated the manufacturing capacity of old cells. Picture a grandmother in the Himalayan foothills. Her hands are weathered from decades of farming, but her skin retains an elasticity that puzzles visiting researchers. She has never purchased a collagen supplement in her life. She has never seen the inside of a dermatology clinic. Every autumn, she harvests bright orange berries from thorny bushes that grow wild on the mountainside. She presses them into oil, adds them to food, and applies the oil directly to her skin. She has been doing this since childhood, as her mother did, as her grandmother did. This is not an imagined scenario. Ethnobotanical researchers have documented these practices across multiple cultures. The traditional knowledge preceded the laboratory confirmation by centuries. Research on wound healing found that sea buckthorn components enhance skin repair through multiple mechanisms: cell proliferation, collagen deposition, antioxidant activity, and formation of new blood vessels. A clinical trial on skin aging found that topical application of sea buckthorn oil cream increased cutaneous thickness, suggesting positive structural changes and improvement in collagen synthesis. The unique phytochemical composition of sea buckthorn offers synergistic benefits, including omega-7 fatty acids, vitamins A, C, and E, and carotenoids, flavonoids, polyphenols. These compounds work together, and the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Sea buckthorn grows in remote locations, and it is difficult to harvest. The berries must be processed quickly before they oxidize, and the supply chain is complex. The plant is not native to Western agricultural systems. None of this prevents the science from being valid. It only prevents the marketing from being profitable. The third plant is older than the dinosaurs. It first appeared on Earth over 350 million years ago. It survived the Permian extinction, it survived the Triassic extinction, it survived the impact that killed the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. It survived every major geological catastrophe this planet has experienced. And it is still here, growing in ditches and wetlands across temperate regions of every continent except Antarctica and Australia. The Greeks and Romans used it to treat wounds. Medieval herbalists considered it essential for healing. It looks like a miniature pine tree with segmented stems and whorls of needle-like leaves. It is called horsetail. Its scientific name is Equisetum arvens. What makes horsetail remarkable is a single element, silicon, specifically silica. Up to 25% of horsetail's dry weight is silica. No other plant on Earth contains as high a concentration of this mineral, and silica is not optional for collagen production. It is essential. Silicon is required for the activity of an enzyme called prolyl hydroxylase. This enzyme catalyzes a critical step in collagen formation. It hydroxylates proline residues in procollagen. This hydroxylation is necessary for the collagen triple helix to form properly. Without adequate silicon, the enzyme cannot function efficiently. Without the enzyme functioning efficiently, collagen structure becomes compromised. The connection goes deeper. As humans age, silicon levels in the body decrease. This decline correlates with decreased collagen production. The structural integrity of skin, bones, and connective tissues depends on both collagen and the silicon needed to produce it properly. Imagine walking through a wetland in Germany or Pennsylvania or Japan. The ground is soft beneath your feet. Reeds sway in the wind, and there, growing in clusters near the water's edge, you see them. Green segmented stems rising like miniature bamboo. Pull one from the ground. Feel the rough texture. That roughness comes from silica crystal deposits in the plant's cell walls. You are holding one of the oldest living plant species on Earth, and inside that ancient structure is a mineral your skin desperately needs. A clinical study examined 108 postpartum women with wounds from childbirth. Researchers applied an ointment containing 3% horsetail extract. The extract promoted wound healing. It helped relieve pain. Scientists attributed these effects to the plant's silica content. Silicon is one of the building blocks of collagen synthesis. When organic horsetail is utilized, the skin receives necessary materials to replenish its collagen layer. Horsetail also contributes to the formation of glycosaminoglycans. These are compounds that help maintain skin hydration and structure. They work alongside collagen to keep skin firm and elastic. Silicon is necessary for their production as well. Here is the economic reality that explains why horsetail remains obscure. It grows wild everywhere. It is considered a weed in most gardens. Farmers spend money trying to eliminate it. Nobody needs to buy horsetail seeds because it spreads on its own through underground rhizomes. Nobody needs to purchase horsetail supplements because you can make tea from plants growing in any temperate wetland. A plant that costs nothing generates no revenue. A plant that generates no revenue receives no marketing budget. A plant with no marketing budget does not enter consumer consciousness. 350 million years of survival, the highest silica content in the plant kingdom, essential for collagen synthesis, and most people have never heard of it. The fourth plant grows across India. It is a small deciduous tree that produces round, greenish-yellow fruits about the size of a golf ball. The taste is sour and bitter, not pleasant for most palates, but the nutritional profile makes the taste irrelevant. This fruit contains approximately 20 times more vitamin C than an orange. In Sanskrit, it is called amalaki. In Hindi, amla. Its scientific name is Emblica officinalis. Western sources often call it Indian gooseberry. Vitamin C is not just another nutrient for skin health. It is the single most important cofactor for collagen synthesis in the human body. Collagen transcription is enhanced by ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C. Ascorbic acid also serves as a cofactor for prolyl hydroxylase and lysyl hydroxylase. These enzymes stabilize the framework of the collagen structure. Without adequate vitamin C, collagen production fails. This is why severe vitamin C deficiency causes scurvy, a disease characterized by collagen breakdown throughout the body. Amla has been a staple of Ayurvedic medicine for 3,000 years. It appears in ancient texts as one of the most valuable rejuvenating herbs. But traditional use is one thing. Clinical validation is another. In 2008, Japanese researchers published a study in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology. They investigated the effects of amla extract on human skin fibroblasts. Specifically, they looked at production of procollagen, the precursor to collagen. They also examined matrix metalloproteinases, the enzymes that break down collagen. The findings were significant. MMP1 production by fibroblasts was dramatically decreased by amla extract. MMP1 is a primary enzyme responsible for collagen degradation. Simultaneously, TIMP1 was significantly increased. TIMP1 is an inhibitor that blocks matrix metalloproteinases. The extract shifted the balance: less destruction, more protection. Visit a traditional market in Varanasi or Chennai. You will see amla everywhere. Fresh fruits stacked in pyramids, dried powder sold in cloth bags, pickled preparations in clay jars, candied versions for children who resist the sour taste, amla oil for hair, amla paste for skin. The applications are endless. The knowledge is ubiquitous. Every grandmother knows. Every street vendor sells it. The science is validated, but the Western consumer remains unaware. The researchers also found that amla extract helped stimulate pro-collagen production. It was not just preserving existing collagen, it was promoting the manufacture of new collagen. The scientists concluded that amla extract works effectively for therapeutic and cosmetic applications through control of collagen metabolism. Another study found that amla protected skin against collagen damage when exposed to ultraviolet rays. Sun damage is one of the primary causes of collagen breakdown in aging skin. A compound that both stimulates production and protects against ultraviolet degradation addresses the problem from multiple angles. With increasing age, collagen synthesis becomes lower, and MMP1 levels become higher in naturally aged human skin. These alterations cause visible changes. Wrinkles form, elasticity decreases. Amla extract appears to counteract both of these age-related changes simultaneously. The vitamin C in amla is also more stable and more bioavailable than synthetic ascorbic acid supplements. The whole fruit matrix contains bioflavonoids and other compounds that enhance absorption and utilization. This is why traditional medicine practitioners valued the whole fruit rather than isolated components. Yet amla remains largely unknown outside of South Asian communities. It is not part of Western agricultural tradition. The taste discourages direct consumption. The supplement industry makes more money selling patentable vitamin C delivery systems than promoting a fruit that anyone in a tropical climate can grow. The fifth plant blooms in tropical gardens around the world. Its flowers are large and showy: red, pink, orange, white, yellow. In Hawaii, women wear them in their hair. In India, they are offered at temples. In Mexico and the Caribbean, they grow in countless backyards. The plant is called hibiscus. Its scientific name is Hibiscus sabdarifa, though several related species share similar properties. Hibiscus has been used in skincare since ancient Egypt. Hawaiian and Indian cultures incorporated it into beauty treatments for centuries. Mayan civilizations valued it, but the scientific explanation for its effects emerged only recently. Dermatologists have given hibiscus a nickname. They call it the Botox plant. This is not marketing exaggeration. It refers to specific biochemical mechanisms. A study reported an impressive 60% increase in collagen synthesis when hibiscus extract was applied to skin cells. The same study found a 16% boost in fibronectin production. These proteins are crucial for maintaining skin elasticity and structure. 60% increase from a flower that grows like a weed in any warm climate. Stand in a garden in Oaxaca, Mexico. The hibiscus bushes tower overhead. Red flowers the size of dinner plates hang heavy on branches. A woman plucks several blooms. She will steep them in hot water for a drink called agua de Jamaica. She will dry some for later use. She will crush others into a paste for her skin. This scene repeats across tropical latitudes, in Jamaica, in Egypt, in the Philippines, in Thailand. The flower is everywhere, the knowledge persists, the science catches up slowly, but hibiscus does something else that makes it particularly valuable. It inhibits elastase. Elastase is an enzyme that breaks down elastin, the protein that allows skin to stretch and snap back. When elastase activity is high, skin loses its bounce, wrinkles form, sagging occurs. Hibiscus decreases elastase activity and protects elastin from degradation. The compound responsible for this effect is called myricetin. Hibiscus contains high concentrations of myricetin. This flavonoid suppresses both collagenase and elastase. Collagenase destroys collagen. Elastase destroys elastin. Myricetin inhibits both, protecting the two primary structural proteins of youthful skin simultaneously. Additional research found that hibiscus extract shows moderate collagenase inhibitory activity. It does not just promote collagen production, it prevents collagen destruction. This dual action addresses skin aging from both directions, building new structure and preserving existing structure. Hibiscus also contains natural alpha-hydroxy acids. These promote gentle exfoliation, increase skin cell turnover, and support the penetration and effectiveness of other beneficial compounds. The flower provides multiple mechanisms of action in a single botanical source. The economics of hibiscus explain its obscurity in the same way as the other plants. It grows everywhere in tropical and subtropical climates. It requires almost no care and it self-seeds readily. One planting can establish a permanent supply. A product that anyone can grow for free cannot sustain premium pricing. It cannot justify expensive marketing campaigns. It cannot generate the profit margins that drive industry promotion. 5 plants grow across 4 continents. Each one is supported by peer-reviewed research. Each one has been used in traditional medicine for centuries or millennia. Each one is capable of stimulating collagen production through documented biochemical mechanisms. And each one is largely unknown to the consumers who spend billions of dollars annually on collagen products. In November 2025, the Global Wellness Institute reported that the global wellness economy grew by 7.9% from 2023 to 2024, reaching $6.8 trillion. Consumers are spending unprecedented amounts on health and beauty. They are searching for solutions, and they are willing to pay premium prices, but the information pipeline channels them toward patentable products. The plants that grow wild remain hidden. Jotu cola comes from the wetlands of Asia and contains triterpenoids that directly activate fibroblast collagen production through the TGF-beta pathway. Sea buckthorn grows on the harsh mountain slopes of Tibet and Mongolia. It is one of the only plant sources of omega-7 fatty acid and has been demonstrated to restore collagen production in aging skin cells. Horsetail thrives in temperate wetlands across the northern hemisphere. It contains the highest plant concentration of silica on Earth, a nutrient essential for the enzymes that form proper collagen structure. AMLO from India contains 20 times the vitamin C of oranges. It has been shown to dramatically decrease collagen-destroying enzymes while increasing collagen production. Hibiscus grows in nearly every tropical garden. Studies report a 60% increase in collagen synthesis, along with simultaneous inhibition of both collagenase and elastase. The pattern is clear. None of these plants can be patented. None generate repeat purchase revenue. None justify expensive research funding. None receive marketing budgets. The economics of neglect are not malicious, they are structural. Companies fund what they can sell. Researchers study what gets funded. Consumers learn about what gets marketed. But the plants do not care about economics. They care about reproduction. They care about spreading and about establishing themselves wherever soil and sunlight permit. For thousands of years, these plants have pursued a single agenda. They survived the rise and fall of empires. They survived the emergence of the pharmaceutical industry. They survived being ignored by the most powerful marketing machine in human history, and they are still there, still growing, still producing compounds that signal your fibroblasts to make collagen, still available to anyone willing to look beyond the advertising. The skincare industry never hid them maliciously. It simply had no financial reason to reveal them. But you know now. Picture yourself standing in the supplement aisle of any pharmacy tonight. Floor to ceiling, you see rows of sleek packaging, collagen powders in white containers with pictures of smooth, glowing skin, peptide blends promising to turn back the clock, biotin capsules, hyaluronic acid tablets. This single aisle generates billions of dollars every year. The global collagen supplement market alone has crossed $10 billion annually, and it is still climbing. Every single dollar in that aisle depends on one belief: that you cannot build collagen without buying a product. But here is what the labels never explain. When you swallow a collagen peptide supplement, your digestive system treats it the same way it treats any other protein. It breaks the entire collagen structure apart into individual amino acids. Your body does not absorb collagen intact and deposit it into your skin like spackle filling a crack in a wall. It dismantles everything. Then it must rebuild from scratch using raw materials that may or may not be available and enzymatic signals that may or may not be firing. So the real question is not whether you are taking enough collagen. The real question is whether your body actually has the cellular signals to start production, the mineral scaffolding to reinforce the fibers, the enzymatic protection to guard what already exists, and the moisture matrix to keep it all flexible and alive. Or are you spending hundreds of dollars a year pouring expensive powder into a system that lacks the tools to use it? There are 5 plants that together deliver every mechanism the collagen life cycle requires. Not 5 supplements, not 5 powders in 5 bottles, but 5 living plants. Each one was either banned by a government agency, classified as a noxious weed, turned into a household novelty, or hidden behind a language barrier for centuries. These plants are not rare, they are not exotic. Several of them are growing within walking distance of where you are sitting right now. One of them is probably sitting in your spice rack at this very moment. You have cooked with it 1,000 times and never once considered what it could do for your skin. Another one is pushing through a crack in your driveway. You have pulled it out with your bare hands and thrown it away without a second thought. Nobody profits when you grow the answer on your windowsill. That is the only reason you have never been told about this system. The supplement industry needs you reaching for that jar month after month. A living plant that regrows itself after every harvest is the one thing their business model cannot survive. These 5 plants have been used for thousands of years across civilizations on every inhabited continent. From the wet markets of Colombo to the coastal hills of the Mediterranean, from the medieval battlefields of Europe to the royal courts of ancient Egypt, modern research has confirmed what traditional cultures knew all along. This is not folk legend. This is established science that the supplement industry has simply never had a financial reason to share with you. Over the next 30 minutes, you will learn what each plant does inside your skin, why it was banned or forgotten, how cultures around the world have used it for generations, and exactly how to grow it on your windowsill starting this weekend. At the end, you will see how all 5 fit together into one single system that costs almost nothing after the first planting. This is Secrets Beneath Nature. And we begin with a plant that medieval healers called by a name that tells you everything about its power. A plant so effective at regenerating human tissue that a federal agency banned it from your medicine cabinet. In the Middle Ages, battlefield surgeons carried a plant they called knit bone. When soldiers suffered broken bones or deep wounds, healers packed the crushed leaves directly into the injury site and watched the tissue begin to knit itself together within days. They also called it bone set. And bruisewort. Every name this plant earned pointed to the same thing. This plant regenerates human tissue. The Latin name is symphytum. It comes from the Greek word symphytis, which means growing together. For over 2,000 years, healers across Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia used this plant to treat fractures, sprains, burns, and open wounds. It was one of the most trusted remedies in traditional Western herbalism. Farmers grew it in kitchen gardens. Midwives kept dried leaves in their cabinets. Monks cultivated it in monastery gardens alongside their other medicinal herbs. Then in 2001, the United States Food and Drug Administration issued a ban. Comfrey products marketed for internal consumption were pulled from shelves across the country. The reason was a group of compounds called pyrrolizidine alkaloids. In concentrated doses over prolonged internal use, these compounds can affect the liver. The ban was not unreasonable for oral supplements, but the result was that an entire plant with 2 millennia of documented healing was swept out of public consciousness in a single regulatory action. Here is the part that should bother you. The ban targeted internal use. Topical application of Comfrey has continued legally and effectively the entire time. Comfrey creams and ointments are still sold in pharmacies across Europe and the United States today. The compounds that make Comfrey remarkable for skin are fully accessible through the surface of the skin without ever entering the digestive system. But most people never learned this distinction. They heard the word banned and walked away from one of the most powerful skin renewal plants in human history. The key compound is called allantoin. When allantoin reaches your skin cells, it accelerates the rate at which fibroblasts divide. Fibroblasts are the cells in your dermis responsible for producing collagen, elastin, and hyaluronic acid. They are your skin's construction crew. As you age, these cells slow down. They become dormant. They stop producing collagen at the rate they did when you were younger. Allantoin wakes them up. It does not build collagen itself. It activates the cells that do. Think of it as the alarm clock for a crew that has been sleeping on the job for years. Comfrey also contains rosmarinic acid and tannins that provide mild anti-inflammatory protection and support blood flow to the skin. The combination means more active fibroblasts receiving better circulation in an environment with less inflammation. 3 mechanisms from one leaf applied to the surface of your skin. Growing Comfrey is straightforward, but there is one critical rule you must follow. This plant is for topical use only. Never consume it internally. For external application, it is one of the easiest plants to grow. It thrives in any garden soil, tolerates shade and moisture, and produces large harvestable leaves within weeks. Harvest the leaves and dry them in a warm area with good airflow. Once dried, infuse them into olive oil or coconut oil over several weeks. Strain the leaves out and you have a Comfrey infused oil ready for direct skin application. One plant provides enough leaves for an entire season of topical supply, and Comfrey is a perennial. It returns every spring without replanting. Comfrey wakes the fibroblasts. It shakes the construction crew out of dormancy and gets them moving again, but a crew that is awake without clear instructions is just a group of workers standing around waiting. They need a chemical signal, a specific compound that tells those fibroblasts to start producing collagen at accelerated rates. One plant carries that signal more powerfully than anything researchers have ever found in the natural world. In Sri Lanka, they have a name for it. They call it the herb of longevity. In the wet markets of Colombo, Sri Lanka, vendors sell bunches of small, kidney-shaped leaves with scalloped edges. Shoppers buy them by the handful and eat them raw in salads, blend them into juices, or steep them in hot water for tea. In Ayurvedic medicine, practitioners have prescribed this plant for thousands of years under the name Brahmi. Across Southeast Asia, from Indonesia to Vietnam to Thailand, it appears in traditional remedies and daily cooking. In Mandarin, they call it Ji Shui Kao. In Malay, Pagaga. In Sinhalese, Gotu Kola, which translates roughly to cup-shaped leaf. Legend says that ancient herbalists observed elephants grazing on these small, round leaves in the wild. Elephants live extraordinarily long lives. The association stuck. The plant became known as the herb of longevity. Whether the legend is precisely true matters less than what modern analysis has confirmed. This plant does something to collagen that no other herb can match. When Gotu Kola extract reaches your fibroblasts, it does not just provide raw materials the way a protein supplement might. It changes the genetic instructions your cells follow. The active compounds, a group called triterpenoids, directly stimulate your cells to increase production of type 1 collagen. Type 1 is the most abundant collagen in your skin, your tendons, and your bones. It is the collagen responsible for firmness and elasticity. Laboratory research on skin cells has shown that specific active compounds in Go-To Cola can significantly boost collagen synthesis. Not 8%, not 18%, close to 78%. That single number should stop you in your tracks. The $60 collagen powder in your bathroom gives your body amino acids it might or might not reassemble. This plant rewrites the production orders at the cellular level. But Go-To Cola does not stop there. It also inhibits the enzymes that break collagen down. Most plants either help build collagen or help protect it. Go-To Cola does both simultaneously. It accelerates construction while slowing demolition. Skin becomes measurably firmer over time. So why have most people in the Western world never heard of it? The answer is not conspiracy, it is fragmentation. Go-To Cola has a different name in every language and every country where it grows. A plant with no unified name in Western languages has no unified presence in Western databases, cookbooks, or research funding. The studies exist, but for decades, major medical databases systematically under-indexed research published in Asian languages. The knowledge was always there, it was just locked behind a language barrier that the supplement industry had no financial incentive to break down. There is nothing to patent in a leaf you can eat raw from a salad bowl. A crop that needs no processing cannot generate processing revenue. A leaf that regrows after every harvest cannot generate repeat sales. The funding followed patentable molecules. The research followed the funding. And 3 generations of Western consumers never learned the name of the most powerful collagen-stimulating plant on Earth. Growing Go-To Cola at home is simple. It is a low-growing ground cover plant that loves shade and moisture. Plant it in a pot with rich, moist soil near a window with indirect light. It spreads via runners called stolons. One starter plant becomes several within months. Harvest leaves for tea, add them fresh to salads, or blend them into smoothies. In warm climates, it grows as a perennial ground cover outdoors. Indoors, it produces year-round with minimal attention. Go-To Cola commands your fibroblasts to build new collagen fibers at rates that dwarf what supplements can achieve. But a collagen fiber is only as strong as its internal structure. Think of each fiber as a thread of rope. Without ties at regular intervals holding those threads in formation, the rope unravels into a shapeless tangle. Those ties are called cross-links, and cross-links require one specific mineral above all others: silica. Without silica, new collagen is loose string. With silica, it becomes reinforced cable. The next plant has been manufacturing more bioavailable silica than any other living thing on this planet. And it has been doing this for 300 million years. 300 million years ago, long before the first dinosaur walked the earth, vast swamp forests covered much of what is now North America and Europe. Towering above the ferns and primitive trees were giant horsetails. Some reached 30 meters in height. Those ancient forests eventually collapsed, compressed under millions of years of geological pressure, and became the coal deposits that powered the Industrial Revolution. Today, their descendants survive as humble plants, rarely more than a meter tall. 15 species remain from a lineage that once comprised hundreds. You have almost certainly seen them growing in wet ditches alongside highways, along riverbanks, at the edges of garden paths where the soil stays damp. Thin green stems with no true leaves, segmented joints that pull apart like tiny bamboo. Gardeners fear them because they spread through underground rhizomes that are nearly impossible to remove. Once horsetail establishes itself, it does not leave. What makes horsetail extraordinary is what those stems are made of. Up to 25% of the total ash content of a dried horsetail stem is silica, making it one of the richest plant sources of this mineral. No other plant on Earth approaches this concentration. Silica is not a glamorous mineral. It does not appear on the front of supplement bottles or in wellness influencer posts. But without it, collagen falls apart. Silica is the mineral that enables cross-links between collagen fibers. Cross-links are the structural ties that hold collagen in its triple helix formation. Without adequate cross-links, the fibers become loose, disorganized, and weak. Silica also improves the absorption and utilization of calcium, linking bone health directly to skin health in a cycle that depends on this one overlooked mineral. Think of it this way. Go-To Cola told your cells to build new collagen. The cells obeyed and started weaving fibers. But without silica, those fibers are soft rope. Silica transforms soft rope into steel cable. It is the rebar inside the collagen concrete. Horsetail has been used medicinally for centuries across Europe and Asia. Roman physicians documented its use for kidney and bladder conditions. In traditional European herbalism, it was prescribed for brittle nails, thinning hair, and weak bones. All of these are conditions rooted in collagen and connective tissue deficiency. Folk healers did not have the vocabulary of modern biochemistry, but they understood the outcome. The most practical approach for most people is to harvest horsetail wild or purchase dried horsetail stems for tea. Steep a tablespoon of dried stems in hot water for 10 to 15 minutes. The silica leaches directly into the liquid. 1 cup of horsetail tea delivers more bioavailable silica than any supplement capsule on the market. For indoor growing, plant it in a deep pot with consistently moist soil and partial shade. Keep it well contained because it will spread aggressively given any opportunity. Horsetail gives collagen its structural integrity, cross-linked fibers, reinforced scaffolding, proper alignment. But here is a problem that nobody in the supplement aisle warns you about. Every single day, ultraviolet light from the sun triggers a cascade of enzymes in your skin. These enzymes are called matrix metalloproteinases. Their single biological function is to dissolve collagen. You can build all the collagen you want. You can wake every fibroblast, command maximum production, and cross-link every fiber with silica. But if nothing stops those enzymes, you are filling a bathtub with the drain wide open. The next plant stops the drain, and you probably have it sitting in your kitchen right now. You have a jar of this in your spice rack at this very moment. You have cooked with it 1,000 times. You have rubbed a sprig between your fingers and breathed in that sharp, woody, unmistakable scent. You have seasoned roasted potatoes with it, tucked it under the skin of a whole chicken, stirred it into olive oil for dipping bread. And in all those years, through all those meals, you never once considered what this plant might do for your skin. That changes now. This is not a story about a rare herb from the other side of the world. This is rosemary. It is sitting in your kitchen. It has been there for years, and it contains compounds that directly block the enzymes destroying your collagen every time you step into sunlight. Walk through the coastal hills of the Mediterranean on any afternoon. Southern France, the Greek islands, the rocky slopes of Croatia. Rosemary grows wild across all of them. The air smells of it. Entire hillsides are blanketed in low woody bushes with narrow leaves and pale blue flowers. For centuries, people in these regions have cooked with rosemary daily, brewed it into tea, infused it into oils, and rubbed it directly onto their skin. Researchers studying Mediterranean populations have consistently noted the remarkable skin quality of people in these communities, even among those who spent decades working in direct sunlight on farms and fishing boats. The science explains why. Rosemary contains a compound called carnosic acid. When ultraviolet radiation from the sun reaches your skin, it triggers oxidative stress, and that activates the collagen-dissolving enzymes. This is the primary mechanism behind photoaging. The fine lines, the loss of firmness, the gradual loosening of skin that accumulates over years of sun exposure. Carnosic acid interrupts this entire chain reaction. It prevents those enzymes from activating in the first place. It does not just absorb some of the ultraviolet damage the way a sunscreen might, it blocks the specific downstream signal that triggers collagen destruction. Carnosic acid is also one of the most potent free radical scavengers found in any plant. It outperforms vitamin E in stability tests. And unlike certain citrus oils that increase sun sensitivity, rosemary is not phototoxic. It is safe to use in morning skincare without worrying about making your skin more vulnerable. Here is the part that should make you pause. The most expensive anti-aging serums on the market contain synthetic MMP inhibitors. These are the cutting-edge ingredients that luxury skincare brands charge $200 a jar for. Rosemary contains a natural MMP inhibitor that has been growing on Mediterranean hillsides for millennia. It has been in your spice rack for years. You bought it for $3. Growing rosemary is one of the simplest things you will ever do. It needs direct sunlight and well-draining soil. It actually prefers to be neglected. Overwatering is the only common way to kill it. A single rosemary plant lives for years and grows into a woody, bushy, small shrub that keeps producing indefinitely. Harvest sprigs whenever you need them. Steep fresh rosemary in hot water for tea. Infuse sprigs in olive oil for several weeks to create a topical rosemary oil. Add it to every meal you cook because the active compounds survive heat. One plant from a garden center or grocery store costs a few dollars. It never needs replacing. You have been buying this plant to flavor your food. You have been tossing the leftover sprigs into the trash after dinner. The whole time, those discarded stems contained one of the most effective collagen-protecting compounds ever identified in the natural world. The answers were never hidden on the other side of the world. Some of them were sitting in your kitchen drawer the entire time. Rosemary guards collagen from the outside, from ultraviolet radiation, from free radicals, from the environmental assault your skin absorbs every single day. But there is one threat that rosemary cannot stop. Collagen does not only break down from external attack, it dries out. When the moisture matrix surrounding collagen fibers evaporates, the fibers become brittle and crack from within. Like leather left out in the sun for years, you can build the strongest, most cross-linked, most enzyme-protected collagen in the world, and it will still degrade if there is no moisture holding it together. The last plant in this system does something none of the others can do. It doubles collagen production while simultaneously flooding the spaces between fibers with hyaluronic acid. The ancient Egyptians carved images of this plant into stone 5,000 years ago, and you almost certainly have one sitting on your windowsill already. 5,000 years ago, physicians in ancient Egypt documented a plant with thick, fleshy leaves filled with clear gel. They carved its image into temple walls. They included it in the Ebers Papyrus, one of the oldest surviving medical texts in human history. Egyptian queens reportedly applied the gel to their skin as part of daily ritual. They called it the plant of immortality. From Egypt, knowledge of this plant traveled across the ancient world. Greek physicians prescribed it for skin conditions and wound healing. Indian Ayurvedic practitioners used it for burns and inflammation. Spanish explorers carried it across the Atlantic to the Americas. Arabic traders transported it along spice routes from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean. For 50 centuries, every major civilization that encountered this plant recognized what it does for human skin. It was never lost. It was never banned. It was never suppressed. Instead, the modern world did something almost worse. It trivialized the whole thing. It reduced 5,000 years of documented healing into a green squeeze bottle sold in the sunburn aisle of a drugstore for $4. Most people think of aloe vera as something you slap on after a bad day at the beach, a soothing afterthought. That is a fraction of what this plant actually does. Research has demonstrated that plant sterols derived from aloe vera gel increase collagen production by approximately twofold in human skin fibroblasts. At the same time, those same sterols increase hyaluronic acid production by roughly 1.5 times. Hyaluronic acid is the molecule that holds up to 1,000 times its own weight in water. It is the moisture matrix that surrounds every collagen fiber in your skin. Without it, collagen dries out, becomes brittle, and fractures from within. Think about what that means in the context of everything you have just learned. Comfrey woke the fibroblasts. Go-To Cola commanded them to build collagen, producing close to a 78% increase in capacity. Horsetail provided the silica cross-links to reinforce every fiber. Rosemary blocked the enzymes that ultraviolet light uses to tear those fibers apart. And now Aloe doubles collagen production through a completely different pathway, while simultaneously flooding the surrounding tissue with the moisture that keeps it all flexible and alive. Every other plant in this system builds or protects collagen fibers. Aloe does both at once. And then it adds a third function that none of the others provide. It hydrates the space between the fibers themselves. Collagen without moisture is dry leather. Aloe prevents that. Small-scale clinical studies have shown that participants who consumed specific isolated aloe sterile supplements daily showed measurable improvements in skin moisture and elasticity over 12 weeks. Facial wrinkles decreased significantly in women over 40. These are not theoretical laboratory findings. These are clinical outcomes in living people using a plant that costs almost nothing to grow. Growing aloe vera is nearly effortless. It is one of the most forgiving houseplants on earth. Bright indirect light, sandy or well-draining soil, water once every 2 to 3 weeks. Overwatering is the only real danger. The plant stores moisture in its thick leaves and thrives on neglect. The plant produces pups. These are baby plants that emerge from the base of the mother plant throughout the growing season. One aloe becomes 5 within a year, 5 become 20 the year after. You will run out of windowsill space before you run out of aloe. To harvest, cut an outer leaf close to the base, split it open lengthwise, scoop out the clear gel, apply it directly to your skin or blend it into smoothies for internal benefit. One leaf provides enough gel for several applications, and the plant keeps producing new leaves continuously. After the first plant, you never need to buy another one. It replicates itself indefinitely. Now step back and see what you have built. Not 5 random plants sitting in a row, a system. 5 mechanisms that cover the complete collagen life cycle from activation to construction to reinforcement to protection to hydration. Nothing is missing. Nothing overlaps without purpose. Each plant fills the exact gap that the previous one left open. Comfrey activates dormant fibroblasts with allantoin, waking the cells that produce collagen. Go-To Cola commands those awakened cells to build type 1 collagen at dramatically accelerated rates. Horsetail provides the silica that cross-links and reinforces every new fiber into structurally sound tissue. Rosemary blocks the UV-triggered enzymes that would tear those fibers apart from the outside. Aloe doubles collagen production through a separate pathway while flooding the surrounding tissue with hyaluronic acid to keep everything hydrated and flexible. 5 mechanisms, 1 complete cycle. No supplement bottle in existence covers all 5. You do not need a farm, you do not need a yard, you need 3 pots and a windowsill. 1 pot at the sunny end holds rosemary, woody, and compact. Next to it, aloe sits in bright indirect light, thick leaves ready for harvest. At the shadier end, Go-To Cola spreads its small round leaves across moist soil. Comfrey oil infused from leaves you harvested and dried from a garden pot or an outdoor patch sits in a small bottle on the counter. A jar of dried horsetail stems waits beside the kettle for your morning tea. 3 pots, 2 prepared ingredients, 1 windowsill, every mechanism covered. Now think about the cost. A monthly supply of premium collagen peptides runs anywhere from $50 to $100. Add a quality antioxidant serum and a hyaluronic acid product, and you are easily spending $100 to $150 every single month. Over a year, that reaches $1,200 to $1,800. Over 5 years, you are looking at $6,000 to $9,000 poured into products your body may not even use effectively. A starter rosemary plant costs $3 to $5. An aloe plant costs the same. A Go-To Cola starter runs a few dollars from an online herb nursery. A packet of comfrey seeds is less than $5. Dried horsetail stems for months of tea cost under $10. Total startup for the entire system is less than 1 single month of the supplements it replaces. And after the first season, the ongoing cost approaches 0. Aloe produces pups endlessly. Rosemary lives for years and keeps growing. Go-to cola spreads by runners and fills its pot naturally. Comfrey is a perennial that returns every spring without replanting. You stop paying. The plants keep producing. The supplement industry sells you one product at a time. A powder, a capsule, a serum, a jar. These 5 plants build a system that does not require a subscription, a system that does not expire on a shelf, a system that grows back every time you harvest from it. Grandmothers in Sri Lanka brewed Go-To Cola into tea every morning, and their skin stayed supple into old age. Grandmothers in the English countryside steeped horsetail after the first spring rains and drank it for their hair and their nails and their bones. Grandmothers across the Mediterranean coast crushed rosemary into oil and rubbed it into their skin before bed. Egyptian queens applied aloe gel as part of their daily ritual 5,000 years ago. Medieval healers packed comfrey poultices onto wounded soldiers and watched the tissue regenerate within days. These plants are not new discoveries. They are old knowledge that the modern economy forgot, because nobody could figure out how to charge a monthly subscription fee for a leaf that grows back on its own. You have that knowledge now. The plants do not care about your zip code. They do not care about your income or your age or your skin type. They care about soil and water and light. Give them a windowsill and they will give you what no supplement company on earth can sell you. A system that rebuilds itself, protects itself, hydrates itself, and costs nothing forever. 5 plants, 1 windowsill, thousands of years of proof. And the only reason you are hearing about this now is that nobody makes money when you grow the answer yourself.
The science confirms what traditional knowledge preserved. The industry profits from scarcity. These plants never hid. We just paid $80 a bottle to ignore them.